Well, good morning. It's October the 4th, 2021, and it's kind of a gray autumn day here in Philadelphia area. Fall is here, and thought I'd take advantage of being outside for as long as I could. You can see behind me there's a sycamore tree, and some of the leaves are starting to change. Well, welcome to episode 43 of Getting Back to Conversation. Last week I did not record a video because I was devoting my energies to preparing for an assignment, a preaching assignment at our church in Phoenixville, Grace Valley Fellowship. I posted that on my Facebook page, and I hope that you've had a chance to take a look at that. If not, I'd encourage you to do that. It's about 25 minutes long, and basically I deal with a very familiar story. In popular culture, it's referred to as the parable of the prodigal son, but I relabel it the parable of the two lost sons. And I'd encourage you to take a look at the video and see what you think of my rendering and telling of that story. Okay, enough of that shameless plug. In today's episode, I want to share with you some of my own personal experiences about recent conversations that I've had. So, several weeks ago, I shared some information with several of my friends. And this information related to a fairly significant conclusion that I had reached. So I first told one friend and then another about the decision I had made and the reasons behind that decision. In both cases, as I remember it, I walked away from those conversations feeling that I had not been fully heard or understood. I wouldn't say that I was frustrated, but I just felt that we had not reached a point of closure or completion on the conversation. So, almost immediately, I began to come up with explanations why the conversation had not been fully successful. And one of the things I quickly settled on was the motives, or what I thought were the motives of one of my friends. I've often given students or advisees advice on how they should approach an issue or a decision that they're facing. And one of the things that I encourage them to do is to find someone that they can discuss this issue with, this decision. But there should be two qualifications for that individual. Number one, that person should know that student or advisee well. Secondly, that person should have the student or advisee's best interest at heart, even if the decision that the student makes would ultimately be not to their advantage. So let me explain. Sometimes people offer us advice and it is self-serving. Think of a boss who wants to keep you in your current position because it will make their life easier, not because it is the best situation for you. What we want is people in our lives who are, without personal regard, concerned about what's best for us. And we want people to give us advice because they're coming from a place that they're concerned about our well-being, not what would serve them best. So back to my conversations. I thought one of my friends was, in a sense, arguing with me about my decision because of personal motivations. In other words, this person was trying to guide me in a certain direction that would be to their advantage. Now, these were not evil or malignant motivations on the part of my friend. It just felt that this person was thinking about what was best for them, not what was best for me. Now, once I came to that conclusion, I'm presented with two options. First, I could proceed forward in these conversations guided by the assumptions that I had made about this person's desires and motivations. Or I could go back and engage in the risky business of sharing with my friend what I assumed was going on. In other words, I could say something like this. When we talked last time and you said this, I assumed that what you were saying was coming from a place of concern for your desires and wishes, not necessarily what was best for me. Now, it wouldn't have to be exactly those words, but anything close to that, think about it, is pretty dangerous talk. When we talked last time and you said this, I assumed that what you were saying was coming from a place of concern for your desires and wishes, not necessarily what was best for me. That's risky, that's dangerous. But it is that kind of exchange that we need in conversations if we are going to move forward to any kind of meaningful resolution. We need to move past the assumptions that I have drawn to discovering what really is motivating my conversation partner to say what they did. Well, I have a tendency over the last couple of episodes of going too long. So I'm going to stop right there. I think we're going to wrap this episode on that note. In the next episode, we'll come back to these conversations and what ultimately happened. But I want to leave you with this today. How many times do we make all kinds of assumptions about our conversation partners? And then we move forward or attempt to move forward guided by those assumptions. I'm afraid that too many times when we do that, we realize that we are mistaken and that we could have saved ourselves a lot of time and trouble had we stopped, had we engaged in the dangerous activity of meta talk, that is, talk about talk. It may be risky, but I firmly believe that the reward far outweighs the risk. So, I'd love to hear your comments, your questions, your thoughts on this video. Please share them below. If you found this to be helpful, share it with others. I'd remind you that I will post this on YouTube, my YouTube channel, and unlike the last two times when I made the promise and didn't follow through, I will rectify that today. This video will be posted on my YouTube channel. Let me just give you one final word of exhortation, and that would be this: don't assume, explore. Well, here's to great conversations, even when it takes work and when it's risky. Have a great day and have great conversations.